Hey guys, and welcome back to another video of All Things Yanni. If you are a new viewer, welcome to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, what's up? So, if you watched my last video, then you know that we are pregnant. My last video was me showing my husband, well, taking the pregnancy test and then telling my husband about it, and him just go back and look at it. But welcome back to my channel. If you are not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe down below. If you enjoyed this video at the end, give me a thumbs up. But let's jump right into it. So I'm going to start off with a scripture. The scripture that I want to start off with is Psalm 127:3. That scripture is, "Children are a gift from the Lord, they are a reward from Him." And so since I have, discovered that we are having a second baby, I'm not gonna lie, the 2 under 2 really threw me off. But we are so thankful God has blessed us with yet another child. So I like to think that we've been doing something right. We're doing something well, that He trusts us with another one. So I'm so thankful for the opportunity. I do not take that for granted, and I'm just excited to see what comes of it. So let's go ahead and recap the first trimester, because mama is in the second trimester. Not really showing too much, but baby is there, baby is baking, and we're having another baby. In the first trimester, I've just been focusing on healing from the inside out, I guess you can call it. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it, but there's something called the throat chakra, and it's essentially how your throat is connected to your womb. And a lot of times we have, trauma that we have unresolved. We have things that we need to work through. And so one of the things that I've been working through is my relationship with my father. We have a pretty decent relationship, but it's a building relationship. And I say all that to say, because our throat is connected to our womb, a lot of times when we have things that are important to us, or things that are not going well, or unresolved things, then that can affect our birth experience. Now, I'm no expert, but this is something that I learned in childbirth class. So if you want to know more about it, definitely comment down below and I can send you some information over, or, do a little research on Google. So yeah, that's one of those things that I've been working on and working through. And I'm so thankful to just say that my father and I are in a good standing. We have been working through rebuilding relationship, and I could not be more grateful. One of the most exciting parts of the first trimester is that we have decided on a home birth. I definitely knew that I wanted to have an out of hospital birth, but I wasn't sure if we would do a home birth or the birth center birth. We decided to do a home birth, so we'll be birthing in our home space and preparing for that. We decided a home birth for a plethora of reasons, but I can go into those details later on in other videos. So in the first trimester, since we decided that we were going to be having a home birth, then that also meant that we needed to hire a birth team. So my birth team will consist of midwife, doula, chiropractor, photographer, and did I say doula? Yeah. So obviously that would also include my husband and my daughter and my mom, because she plans to travel in for baby's birth. So we have been working with a midwife. We've already decided on a midwife. So that was a little process in itself. We interviewed I think I interviewed like three. I interviewed 3 midwives and spoke with people that work directly with those midwives to kind of get just some additional resources and references. A lot of times you can hear good things about midwives, but when they work with people that or when they can be referred by multiple people, that you kind of have a variety of opinions and just people who have experience with them directly, and they can kind of speak from their experience, and you can kind of make a decision based on that. So that's what we decided to do. And yeah, that's how we chose our midwife. We also decided that we are going to wait until baby is born to find out what we're having. I'm so excited. I'm not going to say that my husband wasn't 100% in it at the beginning. I definitely had to convince him a little bit, but he's finally agreed, and so we're going to be waiting to find out the gender of the baby until baby is born. Well, when baby is born. So I originally wanted to do it with my daughter, but my husband was like, no, like I really want to know what we're having. And so daddy got his way the first time, so now it's my turn. So we are going to be waiting, and I'm just so excited. Like, gender is so trivial. We can all have, you know, a desire for one sex over another, but at the end all be all, we don't get to choose. So gender disappointment is real, and I just want to go into it with the mindset of this is a gift, this is a blessing, and whether it's boy or girl, we're happy with whichever we get. I will be honest though, transparently speaking, a boy would be ideal because I have a daughter, but I would love to see my daughter as a big sister to a little girl. So I'm kind of like, I don't know. So going into it with the idea that it doesn't matter what we're having, we're just so thankful and appreciative that we are able to carry and able to conceive and able to just receive God's blessing. With that being said, we have also been exploring different ways that we can prepare big sister to prepare her for her role as big sister. And so we've done like books for her. We're reading books about like being a helper and being a big sister, roles of a big sister, and things like that. We're also looking into like baby dolls and things to kind of get her into the habit of like what that looks like to have another baby in the house. Her godmother actually bought her a stroller with a baby doll, so I think that's gonna be super cool to just see and kind of get her, you know, in the idea and like imagination phases of what that looks like and how caring for a baby is. Our goal and our plan is to involve her as much as possible. Fortunately, she'll be able to be a part of all of our prenatal visits and prayerfully our birth experience too. So I think that keeping her involved will also help her to prepare for her role and to kind of just be included and not treat her like separate from the experience, because she is very much so a part of our family. So we've been exploring different ways to kind of prepare her for a big sister role, speaking to other people who have had other children and how they prepare baby for a sibling. And I'm just so excited because I can already see her little personality coming out and like wanting to bottle feed and just be a great helper. She's already a helper as is, so I just see it just unfolding so perfectly, and I'm so excited. So I've officially started taking my supplements. I'm taking a couple different supplements for preparation for baby and preparation for birth and things like that. So I'm definitely taking ritual prenatals. I'm taking women's probiotics to avoid constipation. I have never had any issues with constipation before, but that tends to happen in pregnancy, so I want to avoid it overall. I'm taking vitamin B3 for immunity support, and I'm also taking liquid chlorophyll that I'm putting into my water and into my tea at night. And then I'm also taking Floridix. Floridix is an iron supplement, and it's good to take during pregnancy if depending on your iron levels and things like that. My iron levels are great right now. However, during pregnancy that tends to change. So just being precautious about that, and also doing 7 almonds a day, drinking beetroot juice, and I think I named it all. The 7 almonds a day and beetroot juice is good for avoiding and preventing preeclampsia, high blood pressure, and hypertension in pregnancy, which is very common, mostly in first pregnancies, but can happen at any time. which also reminds me I'm also taking baby aspirin, and baby aspirin I will be taking up until 20 weeks or 22 weeks, and that's also to prevent hypertension, preeclampsia, and hypertension in pregnancy. I did have a minor case of hypertension in my daughter's pregnancy towards the end, like just before I gave birth. So I want to avoid that just because it can cause a hindrance to my birth goals and birth plan, of wanting to have a home birth, depending on, how high the numbers get and all that. So that's a whole different spectrum of things that we're trying to avoid. And so I'm taking all of those supplements every day to avoid things from, taking a turn. One of the things that were really important to us when we were choosing our midwife is someone who obviously is experienced, someone who has worked with people that we know we have been able to speak to directly as far as how their experience was with the midwife. Someone who is in close proximity to our home environment, and also close proximity to where our prenatal appointments will be. So our prenatal appointments will be in office. And that was really important for us because I have a toddler and my husband works like long hours. So just kind of planning phases was really important, because when it comes to our prenatal visits and attending those visits, it's planning around like nap time for my daughter, and also his work schedule and the commute time. And also on the back end, when it's time to go into labor and give birth, then we want to make sure that the midwife can get to us in a reasonable amount of time. And obviously, if it's if it's far, it's gonna take them longer than it would. And then when you look into like the, traffic, and I know this is like it's like, oh, it works out at the end. It all plays into birth, because I'm birthing at home, so they would have to come to me. And traffic in Texas is crazy, and if it's in the middle of the day, I want to be able to know that they're going to be able to get to me without crazy, having to fight through crazy traffic. But again, this is all subjective, but it's something that we definitely considered. Another thing that we considered that was important to us is that we birth with the midwife who was able to birth breech babies. And the reason for that is because you never know the position of baby, and babies can turn at any point. And so if I were to have a breech baby, then I would want to know that I wouldn't end up being transferred to the hospital because my baby is breech and my midwife isn't certified to do so. However, she is. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that she is certified, because I really wanted her on our birth team. And that's important to consider, because it's just one of those unknown factors. You just don't know what that looks like, or if that would be, the case, or if that's something that we'll even experience. But to know that she's able to birth a breech baby, or assist me in birthing a breech baby, then that gives me ease to know that even if my baby decides to turn at one point or another when it's time to give birth, then we can still have the baby at home. I also wrote out a list of questions for my midwives, and I felt the most comfortable with this midwife in particular. She was very thorough in answering her questions. She was very transparent. She was just very comforting, very honest, very experienced, and I heard nothing but great things about her. It's just phenomenal. Her name is Amy Tate. She births with Brittany and Andrea as well. Andrea is the birth assist, Brittany is the other midwife. So I'll be in rotation between both of them, but they are both phenomenal. I've heard nothing but great things about them, and they've had phenomenal birth experiences, as well as very low to no transfer rates. So when it comes to transfer rates, that's something else that we consider when interviewing the midwives, because transfer rates in moms who are birthing at home can change from one provider to the next, and Amy and Brittany's transfer rates are under 1%, and usually that means that's for different reasons, but most of the time like the possibilities of it happening are very slim, and that's not something that I'm worried about, to be honest. So I'm going to do all the things to prepare myself for success, to set myself up for the birth that I desire. And I feel like I have the best team to support me in that. So I'm super excited, and I'm just so confident in the team that I've chosen. I'm ready for a redemptive birth experience, and that is a story in itself. But in short, I didn't have the birth experience that I desired with my daughter. However, we did have a really good experience overall, but I didn't end up having her at home like I originally planned with my first pregnancy. So this experience, I'm going into it a little differently. I'm going into it doing all the things. I'm going into it with an open mind and making the sacrifices that are necessary. And I'm also trusting my midwife and my birth team fully. Something else that was really important to us when choosing our midwife was someone who was very much aware of the Black mortality rates and someone who was Black safe. I understand that a lot of times, even for myself, like when I first started looking for a provider, I was looking at African American women, women of color, Hispanic women. I'm looking for midwives that would meet those categories. And unfortunately, I realized that although you can come from the same background, that doesn't necessarily make that person safe for you. So someone who was Black safe was very important to me. Someone who is aware of the statistics, someone who understands that, you know, the indifferences and the disparities that Black women experience. All of those things were super important to us when we were interviewing and choosing the midwives. And we would even ask those questions, asking the uncomfortable questions and seeing how the midwives responded to those, because at the end of the day, my life and my health, my child's health is in the hands of the provider that I choose. And so if you are choosing a home birth, or birth center birth, or a hospital birth, I would definitely consider being familiar with the doctors that work there, the midwives that are affiliated with the hospital, or wherever you choose, just because you want to be aware and know their background as well, because your life is in their hands, and childbirth is crucial. It's very critical. Mortality rates, especially in women of color, are very high. It's ridiculous that even to this day is still high. And yeah, so that was definitely key when choosing someone, because I would hate to be a part of that statistic. I would be mortified if, you know, not even just death, but something critical was to happen and I wasn't to be well cared for, or was discriminated against, or whatever. Like, there's so many factors to consider. And yeah, I've also, in preparing for the birth experience that I desire, I've also decided to cut out dairy and red meats. So the reason for that is because when you are pregnant and when you go into labor, your body is trying to get rid of waste. And so a lot of times mom experience like really bad hemorrhaging. They experience, hemorrhoids, not hemorrhaging, but that too. They experience a lot of like pooping or a lot of throwing up, and a lot of times that's because your body is trying to get rid of so much waste, and that's based on the things that you consume. So like dairy, red meats, which is hard to process. I mean, just think about it. Like, if you are pregnant and it's already hard to process for someone who's not pregnant, your body has to break all that down and still digest, and it takes long. Just imagine how much longer it takes when you're pregnant. Like, yeah, so sacrifices like that I've started to make, because it's really important that I don't experience, things that I can avoid. So I've restricted dairy intake, or I really haven't consumed dairy at all. And I've decided to cut out red meats until baby is here. So I've also started sitting and doing exercises on my yoga ball, which is really important to kind of keep my pelvis engaged and my baby in a good position. Baby is still really small right now, so it's not, something that will necessarily hinder me right now, But as time progresses and as baby keeps growing, position and things like that are really important to make sure that I'm sitting in a position where baby can be in a good space, in a good spot for when labor starts. And I definitely going to be taking some classes, some childbirth education courses, because it's always something to learn, it's always something to take away. So I'm excited about that. And I will have the same doula on my birth team this time that I had with my daughter. So that's exciting. She's amazing. Check out Eve Birth Services if you are in Dallas. She's phenomenal. She also offers birth classes and she offers a bloom box, which we'll go into in a different video. So yeah, I haven't mentioned, but I have been feeling great in this pregnancy. I will say I'm a little bit tired, more tired than I was prior to pregnancy. Not getting, the best of sleep because my daughter is sleep regressing. And if you know, you know. But yeah, I haven't had any symptoms, no morning sickness, no pains, no nothing. Literally, if I didn't have a missed period, I probably wouldn't even know I'm pregnant. That's how crazy it is. But I'm thankful, and I don't take that for granted because I wouldn't choose it no other way. So yeah, no symptoms for this pregnancy so far. We are officially in our second trimester, so praying that it stays that way. But yeah, I'm just so thankful to be here and share and have, this pre-recorded for baby to look back at later on in life. We have started looking for names already for both genders just because we don't know. And I feel like choosing names is hard. It just got really dark in here. But I'm excited. So yeah, guys, I think that's all for today. I'll definitely try to share as much as I can throughout the process of pregnancy. I'll try to pre-record things and share that later when baby is here. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them down below. And thank y'all for watching the video. Bye.